only losing 1 game in their last 10 in the regular season.
TSM have been on a tear here, and a lot of teams expecting them to do quite well throughout playoffs. All right, starting off with a Rise ban, though. That one's going to be a double ban here for Niski and Licorice, like banning away some of these flexible picks.
Speaking of flexible picks, Cloud9 is going to go ahead and remove that Silas that we've seen them play to plenty of success in the past. TSM going to go ahead and continue to ban out some of those picks that we've seen Cloud9 perform on well in the past with the Kindred, as Lissandra is ban number 4.
Yeah, Kindred has been one of the strong early game champions that a lot of different teams have been trying to incorporate. And Svenskeren, definitely one of the players here, very deserving of one of the top 3 spots in the all LCS voting that he got in the jungle.
Yeah, and Lissandra, the most played for Bjergsen by far so far. You know, this split, 7 plays. On that, 3 was his next most played on the Zillion and Zoe. So, you know, not only is it taking away that pick from him, it's also something that has enabled his roaming style, which he has been very, very successful with. They talked about, you know, Bjergsen's ability to be getting kills in those side lanes, and that is going to help to cut that down a little bit.
Well, as Kennen and Irelia are banned out as the final bans here in this first phase, TSM will immediately throw down the top lane gauntlet and lock in the Jace.
Yep.
Oh,
not going to be a big surprise here, but an instant answer. Now, this is something that we've seen in Academy. We've seen it, I think first was actually in the TCL, and it has been a terror in solo queue, is the Taric plus Sona bottom lanes. They just have insane sustain early on. Sona goes with the Spell Thieves. You have huge amounts of poke, and they scale very well as support champions into the later game.
it's such an incredible amount of sustain, and it makes your team so tanky in those later stage team fighting because you're getting not only heals from 2 characters, you're getting AoE shielding from the Sona. You have the ultimate, which is now being paired up with Hecarim, so you have hard engage alongside that Taric ultimate, which is going to make it very, very effective.
This is what I like to see in playoff matches here. Already, the champion select is delivering. On the other side, they've got the Akali, possible star champion for Bjergsen here in the mid lane. It can still be swapped. Depending on the matchup that you want, you can keep your enemies guessing if they're going against AP threat from Akali or AD from Jace. Bjergsen has had a long history of success with Jace in the mid lane as well.
Now, one thing I want to go ahead and temper everybody real quick as we're moving through this champion select, because I know Sona Taric is hype, but remember, this is traditionally picked as something, I say traditionally even though it's brand new, but so far we've seen it picked into answers like this Tom Kench and stuff that's normally a greedy first pick support. I want to see if TSM have something planned to counter this in lane, deal with it more effectively. We'll see how that goes. The bans the second time around, Zillion, Gangplank, Thresh, and Galio, and we'll see what Cloud9 want to add to the roster now, looking towards those solo lanes or potentially still towards the jungle if they want to send that Hecarim top.
Also going to be really interested to see what the mid lane pick will be for Niski, because I tend to feel that the Sona Taric bot lane works best with, you know, a marksman from another lane or some really high consistent form of DPS, because right now there's not a ton of consistent damage if this game were to go late for Cloud9, and you're looking at the other side that has a tremendous amount of late game DPS and consistent damage.
Not to mention, with the Poppy locked in here, there's a high chance that this is a jungle Hecarim and could be the mobility, you know, just damage rocket Hecarim style from the jungle. They could also put the Poppy in the jungle, and there are definitely still some options. But Flowers, you're talking about the bottom lane, the Vayne Lulu double range matchup down there to try and get some money out of the Sona Taric lane.
Yeah, Taric is going to have to be really careful about how he's playing this. If you step forward for a stun and do actually miss that, this is certainly a lane that can trade very, very heavily back, but you know, TSM is going to have to be careful because Vayne is not one of those early laners that has a tremendous amount of wave control, that has a tremendous amount of power in those early levels, and Sona certainly can bully you out.
And remember, it was TSM Academy that we saw break this strategy out during the Academy playoff. TSM as an organization has seen the Sona Taric before. They're not going into this saying, oh man, we weren't expecting this, what do we do now? They're familiar with it. I trust that they see this as a valuable counter to that pick, and I'm really excited to see how these bottom lanes face off.
Yeah, there's a reason that the coaching staff for both of these teams were voted to the top of the LCS. The preparation has been laid. Game number 1 about to get on the table.
Going into this first game, TSM versus Cloud9. Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme, one of the longest standing rivalries in competitive League of Legends, period. Now again, these two going head to head. seeing who's going to punch that ticket to St. Louis.
As expected, Spell Thief start here for Sona, and we will see the Sona Tarek on the LCS stage here for our first game in the most highly anticipated matchups of playoffs so far, TSM and Cloud9.
This is gonna be a banger, man. He's not only going for Spell Thieves, this is Klepto Sona, so it's all about ramping up that early game income here for Sneaky.
And he's gone with the teleport as well. There's no combat summoner to help protect this Sona if there is an early gank bottom. One of the other ways to go after them, of course, Flash, Gragas, Initiation. Acadian has been one of the guys, especially in the early game, that has been a big mover and creator of plays for TSM.
And that's why the jungle performance becomes so incredibly important, right? You know, you're gonna have Svenskeren tracking Acadian, following him around the map, keeping eyes on where they are, because Sneaky and Zeyzal need to be able to play aggressively. They want to put this Vayne behind, certainly in those early levels.
And at the same time, I think this ties into what we were hearing from the analysts earlier. If TSM want to win this game, you want to see them play away from that top side of the map where Licorice is traditionally just that rock, that mountain for Cloud9. Instead, see them focus more towards mid, more towards bottom, more towards these places they could find advantages more easily. And that's what I'm specifically watching Acadian for in this first game.
It's going to be a really exciting one, too, because even when you're thinking about how these comps will want to interact, it feels like for Cloud9, it's so much about group, utilize that Taric ultimate for hard engage, force on top of these carries, and TSM, I think, want to slow down the pace, want to spread the map, utilize Jace split pushing to buy time for Sven, and if you can get to those later stages with a Jace, splitting, and you have the Lulu and Vayne buffing each other up, it gets very difficult to actually take that guy down.
One of the biggest things to look for, and with TSM's composition, is outplay potential. Akali and Vayne, two of the champions in the game with the highest skill cap. We did see Broken Blade last weekend on the Akali, surviving the early lane phase versus the Vayne, one of the most painful, and then making big plays later on with the Akali.
And I think that's going to make Licorice's job that much more important also. He has the ability to deny a lot of that playmaking on the Poppy with that steadfast presence. Interrupting people on those dashes, knocking out the Akali when she dives into an assassinate backline. And how that interacts will be so incredibly critical in this game one.
But we do see Acadian on the bottom half of the map. He is spotted out by a ward there from the side of Cloud9. Svenskeren singing the same song here in the top lane as both junglers will secure the crabs, although they are seen in the process. And it's just some classic vertical jungling going on here as they move towards each other's blue.
And when you ever separate the jungle like this with bottom side for TSM, top side for Cloud9, it does allow the Poppy, who with the corrupting potion start, has a lot of early control, can push the wave in. Licorice is doing that now to try and force Akali under turret, try and drop some CS to that turret.
Niski shoving up the wave here early against Bjergsen with this Zoe. This is the champion that you're going to be looking at to deal that big GG level damage as the game goes on for Cloud9. Tarek Sona bottom lane, not going to pack the same kind of a punch you would be expecting from a traditional marksman, so that means Niski will have plenty of heavy lifting to do, especially if Svenskeren doesn't go for that rocket-type build that you were describing earlier.
And they're also, the Sona Tarek bot lane has to play very much on the back foot because they're on the weak side of the map right now with vertical jungling happening. They know Svenskeren is top side, so if you were to push out, if you are to play aggressively, you're exposing yourself so much to Acadian's ganks.
Yeah, that's why they're sitting back here, just trying to get those Klepto procs off like you talked about, make use of the Spell Thieves, and the constant Targon charges as well. Sven goes in for a trade against the wall.
Be able to find that stun on the Sneaky there, who flashes away, looking to keep himself alive, but no, sir, it's first blood over to Sven.
Sven and Smoothie, but here we go!
Into the mid lane, Bjergsen now gonna be in some trouble himself. Sleep coming down, more damage going through. Niski's able to find himself a kill, but here comes the counterattack. It's Acadian making it 1-for-1.
And we got an action-packed early game here, everybody, with a counter from Acadian, cleaning up that extra kill. Cloud9 were trying to strike right back, but TSM take the advantage.
Their bot lane put so far behind by that Sneaky just getting caught by the Condemned straight against the wall. And here it is one more time. Sneaky trying to utilize this brush. He is warded out Sven finds the opportunity, gets the condemn straight into the wall, no hesitation. Ignite comes in before any healing could from Smoothie.
Yeah, I think in that scenario, you have to flash early as Sneaky so the condemn doesn't hit you into the wall. Then mid lane, C9 are like, okay, we're gonna answer right back. They do dive the turret. Sven tanks the turret shot for Niski. However, Acadian is on the way up the mid lane, and so they make it a 1-for-1. Both kills assisted, so very even gold traded there in the mid lane, and it's just TSM's advantage on bottom side, where they're able to kill that squishy Sona early on.
And it looks like we have a pause called by Broken Blade, and while that's happening, I want to go ahead and address something that I'm immediately seeing as a red flag, at least if you're a Cloud9 fan on the scoreboard right now, even though we're just 5 minutes into the game. Vayne free farming. Not only did Sven get himself the first blood, but if you look at how easy it is for him to farm up in this lane, especially with that jungle priority like you guys were talking about with vertical jungling, there is no threat on this guy at all getting to that 2-item spike of the Blade of the Ruined King and the Rage Blade.
It kind of just led some credence to the topic you brought up in Champion Select Flowers, where the Taric Sona very often counterpick into melee support matchups, but TSM take that opportunity to try and punish it with a very nicely scaling marksman in Vayne and the Lulu in lane, which can help take advantage of that weak lane.
And getting that early kill for Sven, that kind of just propels you towards your Vamp Scepter. And having an early Vamp Scepter is going to make it that much more difficult for this poke style of Sona to really run that lane whatsoever. If you can arrive at this point as that TSM bot lane where you're shrugging off the poke, where you're constantly regenning up, you can start to play very aggressively. And as showcased, their all-in is very potent.
Yeah, and when I'm looking at these later game team fights, one thing I'm thinking is, unless this horse just becomes pure Seabiscuit tier and can just run the Vayne down and kill him in one hit, you've got Wild Growth, you've got Lulu shields, you've got a lot of protection here for this guy, and if he doesn't go down instantly, how else are you going to be able to manage to get through to him? Zoe's not going to have easy skill shot access. When you have the Gragas who can get in front, when you have the Lulu who can even take shots if she needs to, the Vayne can pop off.
Definitely a possibility here. Lulu very good at protecting against that C9 initiation. The surprise factor pretty much only comes from the flashes. Let's get right back into game though and check it out. Early game just cresting 5 minutes here and TSM with the advantage.
Quick update for everybody who might have been curious about the pause. It seems Broken Blade was having a couple of FPS issues, but those issues have worked themselves out. So now we are back onto the Rift. You can see the gold at the bottom part of the screen, showing you where that 500 lead for TSM in this early game is coming from. Plenty of that on Mr. Sven here in the bottom side. Been stepping up for TSM, and remember, TSM was one of those teams at one point that was considered Bjergsen and 4 wards. Everybody else works around Bjergsen. This is the carry. This is the guy who's going to do the heavy lifting. Everybody else is along for the ride, but as you mentioned in Champion Select, he's been on Lissandra. He's been on picks that aren't known to just 1v9 the game because now they have these other guys they can trust, and Sven's the kind of guy you can put that trust in.
This season has been such a different story for TSM. They've grown so much over the split. Bjergsen, one of the most roaming mid laners in the entire league, and a tremendous amount of emphasis put on playmaking for these guys.
And I think when you see that shift for TSM, you have to think about the change in the coaching staff, right? Zix coming in, giving a new look to this squad. And he has been one of the strongest coaches, I think, in the league. And it's going to be such a battle between him and Reaper, who did just pick up Coach of the Split.
All right, that being said, still very early on in the game. Cloud9 have been able to stem the bleeding here. Acadian actually venturing very deep into C9 territory. I think they may have an inkling here. Svenskerin's going to collapse on him.
Important to note, Hecarim level 6, Gragas level 5. Definite advantage there. Acadian already going to use the smite. Onto the Gromp, Svenskarin coming in now, looking to maybe find some damage here onto this guy. There comes your onslaught of shadows. And Acadian is way too far in enemy territory.
You said they needed a big horse, and they may get one.
Broken Blade will break Licorice in the 1v1.
Broken Blade says, you may be the LCS all-team top laner Licorice, but listen, buddy, you're not going to win this 1v1. Akali popping off.
Yeah, and gets his flash as well. Doesn't even have to expend his own summoner. Takes down Licorice.
My goodness, though. First, Cloud9 closed the trap on the bottom side of the map. Acadian goes for this invade. Yes, the bottom lane is pushed up, but C9 make the choice to drop some of the CS by their bottom turret. They close the trap on the level 5 Gragas and get a kill for themselves. It's gold incredibly close now.
Let's take another look at how this happened here in top lane.
Gets booted back, so the ultimate
Oh,
is
he
down.
hit the E.
He already had the E as he was dropping through.
Yeah, Licorice just wanted to reset the wave, I believe, there. So he was just trying to reject it out after the TP. But the E was connected too early. Gets in on top of him, gets the kill and the flash.
For those who aren't aware, Akali's E, once she marks you, has Summoner's Rift-wide range.
Yep.
If you mark someone who's about to TP and they go across the map, you can press E and follow them with the longest flying kick you've ever seen in your life. This champion can stick to you.
Definitely can, and that was a face of frustration there for Licorice. Really not wanting to give over an early kill to a champion like this. If you let Akali get to her Gunblade too early on in a tank versus Akali matchup, you could not actually outpace the healing that she has.
Yeah, really nice use of the small timing window to be able to get his E off there in time. Bottom side though, once again, a visit from Acadian. Doesn't have flash, but the ultimate is
nice
available.
forward.
Very nicely done by Zeyzal, taking advantage of proper placement of the ward over the wall into the mountains there to make sure they can spot out Acadian without actually being in any danger. And Acadian will head back to the scene of his previous death, looking to contest this enemy blue buff. Does have Bjergsen right behind him.
Yeah, Bjergsen here. Zoe cannot come, so this should be an easier contest. But the C9 bot lane is coming up to assist.
Again, they're collapsing here. Even though the minion waves are pushed in, they secure the blue this time for Sven. Nobody going to go down.
Niski moving over. He does have an exhaust here on the Zoe.
At the very least, it did cost C9's bot lane a little bit of that farm because the wave was at their turret, so there was a cost associated with Cloud9 defending it. But certainly, you said Svenskeren needed to have a good start. He's already on his completed warrior. This horse is going to be strong.
And warrior to me tells me rocket horse. Dale, you brought it up, and I am saying yes. If you go for the full warrior completion, especially on a champion that in the past, even when he went for a more damage-heavy build, you would often see him just stick with the uncompleted jungle item, go for a Trinity Force. Warrior is damage and nothing else, and that means he's looking to one-shot these back lines.
It will be interesting, though, because since he's on Conqueror instead of Predator, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for something like Asterix as well and try to be more of this brawling type champion. Either way, I do expect him to build a significant amount of damage. When you have Taric and Sona, you need large sources of damage coming from other places. They have Poppy on the top side, so Svenskeren is going to have to do some of that heavy lifting.
And speaking of the Sona and Taric on the bottom side, never mind, mid lane's got some action.
2v2 is going to be breaking out as Svenskeren can get here in time. Having to pick his target now. Goes for Bjergsen. He's able to find the damage, and one more spin of the scythe should do it. He comes into the stasis, and Svenskeren will cut him down.
Taking down his old mid laner there, Svenskeren. Now Smoothie!
Rotation. Smoothie has to flash over the wall to keep himself safe.
Wow, the plays around the mid lane. Svenskeren getting dangerously strong. Now 2 levels up on Acadian. TSM are going to have to avoid this guy. You do not want to match equal numbers against this Hecarim.
And the rewards for that kill in mid lane are super big. This early Ocean Drake is going to go a very long way in trying to help right this top lane. Already, Broken Blade's getting out of control on this Akali. He got the solo kill onto Licorice. He's way up in CS. That Ocean Drake is going to be just what Licorice needs to try and help sustain himself and hold off this onslaught.
Yeah, and here this is one more time. Niski had the redemption, does drop it very early as he sees that they're going to be going forward. He knows Hecarim is coming from behind. And despite the flash here from Bjergsen, that charge will connect.
Yeah, then he's able to get the ultimate off for the extra range here. Force Bjergsen to use the early stopwatch, still in dangerous territory, and takes him down.
And getting that stopwatch on top of getting the kill, it's not like that bought them anything else. It didn't stop them from acquiring the Drake. It didn't buy enough time to allow any sort of revenge kill. That's a huge pickup.
Stopwatch, the kill, both summoners. Bjergsen going to be that much more vulnerable for any sort of repeat gank they want to go for. And looking like Svenskeren may just be making the rush towards Triforce because of that onus to do the additional damage for him and because of his fantastic start. I think it's a great choice.
I love Warrior Triforce in the jungle. That is exactly
Really?
what the doctor ordered.
And especially if it is a Warrior Triforce Hecarim that's backed up by a Taric ultimate, giving you the immunity for team fights to actually output that damage. One of the big drawbacks, especially for solo queue, of going that build is that you get taken down very quickly. But again, C9 locking in the Taric Sona so early is all about team fight presence for them. Sona flash ultimate engages, Taric immunities to help them fight those 5-on-5s.
Another really cool thing about playing with this essentially high income Sona is that her speed up scales with AP. That means the Hecarim is going to be massively faster. The Poppy is going to be massively faster as they charge in for that hard engage.
Definitely one of the most underestimated parts of Sona is the speed aura that
You
he
get
can apply.
Cloud9 Cloud9 will definitely be some speedy boys going into these fights. Acadian once again here on the bottom side, gonna be moving in with the sweeper, clearing out some wards just to make Cloud9 think twice if they want to come out from underneath that turret. You see Broken Blade moving into the enemy jungle top side to take that red buff away. He's saying, all right, we know that the enemy horse, Scaren's not gonna be around here. I can take this one easily for myself, and that's gonna make the lane that much harder for Licorice.
The other thing you always have to remember is it's not about comparing the farm of Sven to Sneaky. It's about comparing the total gold between these two bot lanes. That is how you're really going to judge them, as it is sharing gold. You're having two stronger people instead of one really strong individual.
Exactly. Dazel, very rich himself. Sneaky getting attacked there, does have some flashbacks, able to heal back up under the turret though, and they get out of range of Acadian's engage.
And for those who wanted to do the quick maths of the gold being added together in the bottom side, it is about a 100 gold lead for TSM and their bottom lane, most of that being on the Vayne, of course, compared to the more even split between the Cloud9 members. But 100 gold's not exactly something you're going to write home about. Scarin nearly one-shots the enemy support. Smoothie going to be in some trouble after that one. Onslaught of Shadows coming in, looking to find him, take him down.
Acadian too!
Scarin is on a killing spree, and Acadian will be slammed into the ground.
Licorice is going to come down with the teleport, pick up the other one. He has to get back up to that turret though. Broken Blade going to push it, try and finish it off.
They could threaten a dive on Sven if he stayed around, so he is going to get out of there. They're going to take a red buff back. Broken Blade, though, grabbing another plate before those did fall, and his advantage is the biggest one for TSM.
A lot of the stories for TSM throughout the season have been them investing heavily in Split Push, in Broken Blade, on the top side of the map. They actually have not sent many resources this game there. Broken Blade has earned his own gold this time around. Getting the solo kill, huge CS lead, lots of turret plates on the top side. He's now level 11 on Akali. And the story in this game, not going to be much different for TSM.
It's going to be so interesting to see how TSM plays away from that side of the map, though, because, yes, he is really strong up there, but you can see how strong the tech grim is. Just absolutely deleting Smoothie. Can't even do anything.
Yep, then we know the teleport does complete, and nowhere for Acadian to go. They get the double charge off and finish the second kill.
The gold differential now, plus 2K almost for Scarin in that jungle. That is enormous, and this guy is going to have a Triforce very early on. He's going to be so incredibly strong. So if Licorice can hold on elsewhere on the map, you can 4v4 as Cloud9 and be very happy to do so.
Looks like the problem is that top turret might be going down soon. So Scarin actually heading up around the top area of the map. They don't want it to get opened up too quickly here. Licorice definitely does need the safety of some defense like a turret to be able to hold off Broken Blade right now. Broken Blade not going to extend under the turret though. Doesn't open himself up for a gank quite yet.
And as you guys certainly know, if those solo lane turrets start going down, that top laner is going to be in your jungle. He's going to be impacting that jungle matchup. He's going to be taking
yes, we know.
All too familiar with that life. The first turret will actually fall there in the mid lane. Cloud9 will take that one down for themselves. Niski making sure of it.
All right, Niski, that is really going to be a very big playmaking turret destruction for Zoe. Whenever you take down mid turret, it's so helpful for Zoe. Looking for these angles for the Sleepy Trouble bubble throughout the mid lane over all of these walls. See if they actually get punished here, though. Niski going in. Broken Blade is on a ward.
Here's Licorice.
Nice damage coming out from Niski onto Bjergsen. Gonna force the flash over the wall as Licorice comes to collapse.
Oh.
He's
Getting channeled. Broken Blade could be in some trouble here. Sneaky coming in. Scarin gonna be taken very low. Taken down. Shut down. Credit over to Broken Blade. And Niski's gonna kill onto Acadian in response. 2 dead on the side of Cloud9 as Licorice will fall to Broken Blade.
What a brawl! And TSM making use of their extra mobility here as they collapse and get the 2 kills onto Licorice and Scarin, just dropping Acadian. But on the out here, Niski fighting them off, getting some big chunks.
Yeah, Broken Blade brought so much time for the rest of his team coming in, and C9 just didn't have all their pieces together at once. They need the Taric there for that ultimate to be able to fully commit to those sort of fights.
This Zoe is doing the kind of damage I was expecting to see when I mentioned earlier that she needs to be the cannon here for this team. Niski showing that, yeah, you might be able to hop in your little shroud, but as long as he aims the paddle star true, it's not going to protect too much.
And that poke was so critical because it allowed C9 to maintain control and now start up this Infernal.
Yeah, all right, focus on objectives here. Niski's still trying to poke out TSM. Niski himself is warding off the rest of this team. So even though TSM got the extra kills, Cloud9 will once again get the dragon, get the objective, and this is the second elemental Drake for C9.
All right, here this is one more time. They wanted to collapse on Broken Blade, but the E over the wall not only denied Svenskaren's charge, it denied any opportunity for Licorice to try to stun him against the wall. Then Sneaky comes in, but look at this burst. There's no resistances built up on the Hecarim.
Yeah, big burst damage there from Broken Blade at the beginning. Acadian also going in. They secure the extra kill. And as you know, TSM are able to push the wave afterwards, but C9 answer with a Dragon.
Back and forth so far between these two squads as Licorice gonna find his way onto Broken Blade here, but Tank Poppy not really gonna threaten to 100-0 your Akali, so Broken Blade can pretty easily walk away from that one as Baron is not live for another 2 minutes. Rift Herald still on the map for another minute and a half, and TSM are gonna start it up.
Yeah, TSM should be able to secure this one. Nisqy trying to poke around though and soften them up. You can see Broken Blade controlling the top side of the red jungle here, but he might get collapsed on. Licorice is closing in.
And Tarek is here this time if they want a hard engage. Licorice is coming in from behind.
Licorice manages to throw Smoothie out of the fight, but he'll make his way back in. Gonna be stolen away by Sneaky to start off the fight. Acadia now in some trouble, gonna be taken down by the Sona here as well. Cloud9 coming up big in this one.
Licorice there on the top side does distract Broken Blade, keeping him away from the rest of the fight. He flashes over afterwards, and it's C9 as a team using their synergies with the double support squad right down mid lane with the Rift Herald now.
Yeah, they can go really far with this if they want to. The Sheen, as well as Seraphs, is up now for Sneaky. He has a lot of damage and poke coming out there, as well as the additional sieging potential. They can try to press for a second turret here if they want to.
Going deeper and deeper into that enemy territory. Broken Blade now going to find himself into the fear from Onslaught of Shadows. Does manage to get himself away. Mid lane tier 3 will suffer the damage from the charge of Shelly, but Cloud9 do not want to go any further, not with Acadian back up. Instead, they'll back away. They'll take the red buff on their way out, regroup, buy up, and get ready to go again.
This game definitely delivering. C9 versus TSM throughout this entire split has been incredibly exciting. Even though the victories both went to Cloud9, very, very big opportunities for both of them in each of their earlier games this split. And this time around, once again, the team play of Cloud9 is what's on display.
And they're looking for Broken Blade down here on the bottom side. Here comes Sven.
Scarin trying to secure the kill here. Remember, he doesn't have the ultimate, did use it earlier. Still about half the time left on that cooldown, and Broken Blade escapes the flash.
And meanwhile, Sven has been steadily scaling up, building up these items. He's closing in on that Rage Blade, which is such an enormous completion for the Vayne, turning that Silver Bolts into every 2 hits. When stacked, you can shred through people.
And honestly, the only guy you need to really shred through even is going to be this Poppy for Licorice, because look at the itemization on the Hecarim. As you already mentioned, went for the Trinity Force right after the Warrior. Super strong, hits like a truck, crashes into the ditch like 1-2 if something goes wrong.
That's, again, why so much of these teamfights hinge on special timing windows. It's the Tarek ultimate immunity. It's the duration of the Sona ultimate stun. It's the outplay potential from all this mobility on TSM's side. They really have to make very good use of their positioning to create these outplays.
Nisqy being handed the blue buff means plenty of projectiles will be spammed the way of TSM for the next couple of minutes. 21 minutes in means Baron is alive on the table. You can see wards from both teams around that area, but it's mostly the song of TSM being sung by the Vision here.
The other thing we have to mention that we didn't talk about earlier is this does give you access to a double Sightstone on the side of C9. So when they are playing around these objectives, you have so many additional wards. So while TSM is holding control in this area for now, if C9 is able to ever wrest that away from them, they're going to have so much vision for Nisqy to play around by these objectives and set up picks, set up poke.
And if you look at TSM, look at the trinkets. 1 sweeper. 2 sweepers, excuse me. Smoothie does have 1 as well, but that's still quite a lot of vision to have to clear out with only those 2 schools available. It's highly likely you at least miss 1 or 2 of them.
All right, with the Infernal Drake approaching very quickly, TSM actually do have positioning on the bottom side of the map. C9 spent a lot of their time clearing out vision around Baron first before transitioning over.
Nisqy with a cheeky steal on the big chicken there, keeping that one away from Acadian, who has honestly fallen pretty far behind this game. Level 10 on the Gragas compared to level 12 of the enemy jungler. If you take a look at the gold comparison between the two, he's 2,500 down.
And critically, though, the Rage Blade for TSM has come in. They want to fight for this, but you gotta stay alive. You gotta stay safe in these team fights, and we'll see if he's gonna be able to do it, because a Warrior Triforce stun this early on Jungle Hecarim is terrifying.
Fight could be starting off here. Broken Blade into the smoke.
Side.
Down to half HP, but here comes your initiation. Acadian looking to start things off. Gonna be Ryle Growth knocked away, though, Licorice will accidentally save the enemy jungler, but he's able to take down Smoothie at the same time. Damage comes through for Cloud9, and this team fight is fierce.
Again, C9 grouped up as 5. Big advantage here. And TSM went for the engagement. Acadian barely escapes with his life, but Smoothie not so lucky. And C9 will take the turret. They will take the Infernal Drake. And they are taking control of the mid game.
And look how fast they heal up. They got Ocean and 2 healers there, straight back to full. If you win that poke battle, it's not going to be close. You have to win a quick fight against this style of composition, or they just heal straight back to full and you are doomed.
And this is probably their most powerful point here in the mid game. Very big item spikes of these AP burst damage coming through. Lichbane for Sneaky, adding so much.
TSM's heading to Baron. They're going to try to sneak this while C9 is actually pushing on the bottom side. This is huge.
You have Blade of the Ruined King, Rage Blade Bane. This will go down incredibly quickly once that is stacked. Look at the health bar just deplete and deplete, but they cannot do it quickly enough. They know Cloud9 is on the way. And if you think the game is hard already, gentlemen, wait until you donate a Baron buff to your opponents. That's what's creeping into their minds right now, and they have to disengage. Acadian retreats over the wall with the body slam, keeping himself away from Svenskeren.
TSM keeping C9 honest, stopping that push on the bottom side with the threat on Baron. But with the extra control ward there, I think it saw them sneak over to it. And C9 don't give it up.
Cloud9 pulling ahead bit by bit here in this game. 5,000 gold up, 3 Elemental Drakes up, 3 turrets up. Everything going in their favor here so far, as that team fight just showed how difficult it is for TSM to be able to make something happen. Acadian still so far behind this game. No stopwatch, and when you look at the inventory, he's not even building towards the hourglass, so things like this happen.
Yeah, let's take another look at this. Acadian is on a control ward. He sees the squishies grouped up together, goes right at Bjergsen with the flash initiation, but there's no damage ready to follow up for him. So as soon as he initiates, he has to try and get out of there. Then, luckily for him, he does barely survive the Licorice ultimate. There's nothing left for the TSM squad to finish off that team fight, and they get run away.
They get run over, and let's be honest, that was not a perfectly executed team fight from the side of C9. You know, you reject out Acadian saving him, and Sneaky did not actually land the Sona ult, and they still won it. Now they're forcing so heavily on these hits. They're saying, come 5v5 us.
They don't even need the Baron. Sneaky may be in some trouble, though. He's going to be isolated from the rest of the team now, looking to regroup. Zeyzal trying to protect him, keep everybody safe there with the Taric ultimate. Licorice will be knocked away as he makes his TP into the fight, but it's still tier 3 turret down in mid lane for the side of TSM. Cloud9 could look to re-engage, try to start a fight here for the inhib itself.
Again, grouping up as 5, making use of the double supports here for the team synergy, pushing in towards the inhibitor.
Cloud9 not stopping anytime soon. Man, those power chords hurt. Sneaky putting half the HP into Sven as Broken Blade goes in the face just to keep himself alive. Gets himself away from the follow-up stun now as well. But with your top laner hurt, TSM is now on the back foot more than ever, and Cloud9 will take the inhib.
Yep, they push him back, and like I said, if TSM can't win a decisive, quick fight, the poke does not matter from Jace whatsoever. You're going to heal through that time and time again. C9 will stay grouped as a 5-man squad. Also, if they start off Baron with Taric and Sona, you will never go below full health.
And it's also difficult because for TSM, you'd also look at splitting the map, trying to push out side lanes with their mobile Akali, with the Vayne, and try and get pressure in multiple areas. But there's so much speed on Cloud9 with Hecarim, you know, with Sona speed ups to chase you down. That's very dangerous. Baron here.
Acadian loses 80% of his HP in a single shot. There's no way for him to go into the pit and try to contest. Baron's going to be taken down. Cloud9, having already secured the objective, will now look for the fight. They'll find Bjergsen. They'll find Smoothie. They'll find Sven. And Cloud9 will look to find the win right here. Vayne is down. And Cloud9 is on the victory march.
That should be it, Flowers. Cloud9 have the Baron and a super. They are going to march it down mid and close out game number 1 in just over 26 minutes.
It was back and forth for quite a while in the early game, but TSM fell apart after Cloud9 was able to make their team play, sing the song they wanted. They're on the Nexus itself. They'll go into the ultimate just to look cool while they do it, and they'll take down the Nexus and win game 1.
TSM unable to gain enough map pressure to make use of the Vayne, of the Akali, and C9 grouping up for some big team fight wins.
I've got to give so much credit that game to Svenskeren. He
Yes,
played
sir.
incredible. And when you have this monster in the jungle, 2 levels up, who is your hard initiation and can threaten those backliners by himself, I mean, it gets so